So in speaking of the law of sines and cosines, this video specifically addresses the law of sines. But in speaking of the law of sines, we know that the form that it takes is essentially you have a certain side length divided by sine A is equal to another side length divided by sine B. And you basically use this formula. The other way we write it is this way. So we can give you a certain triangle, and we give you, for example, two angles of that triangle, and we give you one of the sides, right? So notice that the included side of this triangle of the angles given would be this. But you know how to find the third side because all the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So you know how to find that angle. Therefore, you can write that as, let's say, 105. And we have all the angles now, but we only have one side. So we use the law of sines, which is, again, in this format. You take one side given, the angle that corresponds to that side, that's essentially the angle across from that side. So in this case, it's 12 divided by sine 30 is equal to B, right? We can call this B, we can call this C. B divided by sine 45. So then we cross multiply and we solve for B. You can, put your calculator to the degree format. So using degree, you would be solving each one of these. So again, the general idea is you have A over sine A is equal to B over sine B. So if you have 12 over sine 30, it's equal to B over sine 45. You can find what sine 30 is. Sine 45, technically, if you have your special triangles, remember with special triangles, this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And this is like 1, this is 1, this is 1, this is square root of 2. So sine is opposite. So in this case, it doesn't matter which one. So notice it's 1 divided by square root of 2, which is equal to square root of 2 over 2. Now, of course, if you're doing this problem, you might prefer to have it in your decimal form, so you could use your calculator, of course. So you use the law of sines in this format. Again, the length of the side divided by the sine of the angle, and then you set it equal to the length of the other side in question divided by the angle. So for this particular question, you can go ahead and, again, simplify, solve for B, and that will give you the answer to B. So it wants you to also find what C is and also find what the angle is. This is one example from a pre-calculus textbook. So basically, you know what the third angle is because all the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And then you just use the length of the side divided by sine A is equal to the length of the side B divided by sine B. So that's how we do the first types of problems here. We are just going down the list and using the law of sines in this format. So that's how we will basically use the law of sines for those problems. The other type of problems that we see here are problems involving finding the area of a triangle, right? When they give you like an angle and then they give you two sides of the triangle. There is a formula for finding the area of a triangle where you use, let's find one here, where you use A area is equal to 1 half A times B times sine C. So that's the formula you can use, and you just plug it in. 1 half times, this is like a question like number 21 in pre-calculus by Larson. Basically, you have 1 half times 6 times 10 times sine 110. And you can use a calculator to find sine 110. You multiply these together, and that will give you the area. For questions like number 21, 23, 25, that's the approach you would use to solve and find the area for the triangle.